Hello, everybody. Today we've got a new deck, and this is Mono Blue Merfolk in Standard. This deck is optimized for best of 3, even though the gameplay that I'm about to show you is going to be best of 1, just because I feel like that cuts together better for YouTube. But yeah, so Merfolk, the whole idea of this deck is Mono Blue aggression. And as a result, we're playing kind of a tempo game where we're going to try to overpower our opponent, and we need to be slapping very, very early, which is... Well, the reason that we're doing this is because there is a good one-drop Merfolk that was included in Aetherdrift. Mindspring Merfolk. 1/1 for 1 that has this ability to draw multiple cards and put 1/1 counters on all of our other Merfolk later in the game. That exhaustibility is pretty fantastic, but the most important element of this card is that it is a playable Merfolk on turn 1. The reason that is such a big deal is because we're running Deeproot Pilgrimage. Deeproot Pilgrimage is one of the most important cards in this entire deck. It is the core engine to the point where if we have a 1-drop Merfolk, a Deeproot Pilgrimage, and even only 1 land, I'm probably going to roll those dice and not mulligan that hand, because setting up a 1-drop Merfolk into a Deeproot Pilgrimage is the whole thing. We're able to then go crazy wide, and you'll notice we have a number of lords in this deck as well. We have the Vodalian Hexcatcher, which is an absolute just Merfolk all-star from Dominaria United that's been legal and standard for literally years and has had like no support whatsoever. So we're going to try to see if our current package can be good enough to get us there. We're also running 4 Lifecraft Engine. In some earlier editions of this deck, I've had 2, and I was like, let's just give it a try, see how it goes. And it consistently overperformed in this deck to the point where you can see it's a 4 of. I want it basically every game. Speaking of a card we basically won every game, Tishana's Tidebinder. While being kind of expensive at 3 mana for what we're doing, it is power that we can be putting on the board in the appropriate creature type at instant speed, so we can hold up all of our other interaction. And even if they don't give us an ability to counter, which, let's be honest, often there'll be good targets for this, but even if there isn't, we're still able to stick 3 power or potentially 4 or 5 power, depending on how many lords we have going, on our opponent's end step. Like, it has pseudo haste in that regard, as long as we're careful about how we time it. And to that same end, we have Brineborn Cutthroat and Floodpits Drowner, which are both doing the same thing. Of note, Floodpits Drowner has a little bit of an anti-synergy. I'm not willing to quite call it a nombo, but the fact that Floodpits Drowner has Vigilance means that it attacking alone will not trigger Deeproot Pilgrimage. That is a bit of a bummer. You do also have this ability, though, on Floodpits to, pay 2 tap and then shuffle something in. Now, we lose our Floodpits Drowner in the process, but it does tap in that process, which would trigger Deeproot Pilgrimage. So if you have the Pilgrimage down, activating Floodpits Drowner all of a sudden is not so bad. Like, you can it spots you a 1/1 for having, removed your opponent's threat, whatever it may be. So that ends up being a pretty good exchange, all told. And also, crewing the Lifecraft Engine is another way that you can use your Merfolk in order to trigger the Deeproot Pilgrimage. Good stuff. Okay, so a couple of notes here. One, we have Mistway Spy in here, mainly because it's another 1-drop Merfolk. I really wish we had a better option. The whole disguise, ignore all that text. That is almost completely irrelevant. You will, if you're using that text, something has gone horribly awry. At the end of the day, this is a 1/1 flying Merfolk for 1. That's it. And honestly, that's fine. It does the job. It fits what we're doing. But I wish we had a stronger 1-drop Merfolk. Honestly, just... here we are. To the point where I almost considered splashing green just for Cenote Scout. Just so the Cenote Scout could be in that slot. I didn't think that the mana trouble was worth the slight upgrade, so we didn't go that route. I also have tinkered with Simic Merfolk in general, and Cenote Scout's really the only card that really seems worth it, unless you go a whole other angle with it. In any event. Other notes, you'll notice that we have 2 bounce off in the main. Yes, I am aware of Into the Flood Maw. You can actually see it in the sideboard. I think Bounce Off is better in the main deck because it does double duty. It can be a disruption piece by bouncing our opponent's threats or potentially their blockers, while also being protection for our permanents. Bounce Off can target our creatures, whereas Into the Flood Maw cannot. Now, Into the Flood Maw's flexibility of being able to target non-land permanents, if the gift is given, is a pretty significant deal and definitely is phenomenal in any matchup where you might run into temporary lockdown. And that's why they're in the sideboard, because certain matchups you bring them in, for sure. But in the main deck, Bounce Off gives us some flexibility that I think is valuable. All right. And then we also have Phantom Interference. We have the 3 Steps Ahead and Spell Pierce all in the main deck. Now, this deck is modified and optimized for best of 3. Don't hesitate to run this out in best of 3. That's where I'm primarily playing it and where I've primarily tested it. And if you pop onto my stream, you'll see me jamming it there. However, I'm going to be playing best of 1, as I said. But when it comes to sideboarding strategy, quick note here. I know that it is very easy to over-sideboard, bring in far too many answers, and as a result, you remove too many of your own threats. If you do that with this deck, you are basically forfeiting games 2 and 3. So a rule of thumb that I've given myself for when I'm sideboarding with this deck that I would recommend you take, you at least consider, is I think of my interaction suite as being in its own slot. And as I'm modifying my deck for the sideboards, I don't touch any of my threats. Not one. I don't touch the Lifecraft Engine, I don't touch the Deeproot Pilgrimage, and I certainly don't touch any of the fish. All of them are critical to this deck's success. Pardon my stumble there. However, there's some matchups where bounce off won't be particularly meaningful. Like if our opponent isn't playing creatures to the board consistently, well, maybe that's not going to be as impactful as some other pieces. If we have, Phantom Interference is a great example. Against like Domain, for example, or like the Zur Enchantress decks, you have a turn. Like if you aren't firing this on turn 2, you're basically never going to get a good target for this ever again throughout the course of the game. Meanwhile, something like a Negate to bring in to deal with any like sunfalls or temporary lockdowns that they might have later in the game could be very, very useful. Also, additionally, bringing in an additional copy of 3 Steps Ahead to counter the Zur off the stack or to pick off the, the Overlord of the Mistmoors, those kinds of things. So I would recommend thinking of the 3 Steps Ahead, Spell Pierce, Phantom Interference, and Bounce Off as your slots that you can modify as your sideboarding. That's at least a strategy that I've been using, and it's been working fairly well. All right, so let's run this thing out onto the ladder and see if we can get some wins with it. All right, we are going first. We have a 1-drop Merfolk and the Deeproot Pilgrimage and 3 lands for our trouble. Oh my goodness, this is a snappy snap keep. This is kind of the dream scenario here. Also, we're going up against Freya, which, excellent, love that. If you're a Final Fantasy IX fan like me, you may have seen the Freya... the Freya card that's going to be coming, which I'm very excited about. She's the Dragoon from Final Fantasy IX. Well, that and, the Norse god. There's that too. All right. Let's get into this thing. I'm trying to remember her last name. I've already forgotten. That's not good. I'm over here citing this. Oh, this character's great. This character's really meaningful, and I appreciate her. And it's like, I don't even remember her name. Awesome. Okay, cool. So they have the Valley Mightcaller and Phineas Ace Archer. They're going Selesnya Bloomborough Duders. Valley Mightcaller, by the way, really good. That card is just genuinely strong. Yeah, I think it actually has the potential to be one of the better cards out here in Standard. So, here's the question. Do we... silly question. I will rock this Lifecraft Engine naming Merfolk. I was about to ask if we wait for the Tidebinder to pick one of those guys off, but... Nah, we're good. And I'll go ahead and send the Mistway Spy. That way we can start making more duders. Hooray! And with the vehicle down, next turn, if we drop the Floodpits Drowner or the Tidebinder, we're able to then just activate the Lifecraft Engine and be off to the races, which seems pretty cool by me. This is also a 4/4 back to block. So do they attack with anything? Like, they don't really have any good attacks here, which is nice. I am very grateful for that. Oh, snap, they are... When one encounter each creature you control, that's a token of rabbit. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take out the Mightcaller with the understanding that I can Tidebind Phineas next turn. Oh, I'm not Tidebinding Phineas next turn. This is whenever Phineas attacks. Perfection. Perfection. Oh my god. Oh my gourd. All right, I'm going to go on the offensive. Check this out. Hexcatcher drops. Boost the squad. I'm going to go ahead and use the Hexcatcher and one of my Merfolk to crew this. I needed to get the Hexcatcher in there. That way I had a non-token Merfolk joining the party. Okay, so we full send. Now, I could Drowner Phineas right now. I don't think I do. I'm willing to send it if they are willing to to double block the Lifecraft Engine, fair be it, they got it. Or so be it, they got it. All right, sick. Blambity blam 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 blam. Excellent. So now they have stumbled a little bit on lands, which, you know, unfortunate, but I'll take it. Sick. This comes down. Yep, they get to do the scry action. Valley Quest Caller, pretty solid. Getting rid of the Might Caller was a big deal. I was worried about potential like hop to it, but you'll notice the Cavern of Souls is marked to rabbits, but it can't help you cast sorceries. So if they do have a hop to it, it's not gonna work for him here. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tap down Finn. Yeah, GG's opponent. Okay, now this hand, we don't have any 1-drops, nor do we have the Deeproot Pilgrimage, but we do have good flash 2-drops and the Lifecraft Engine. I'm gonna try it. This is about as good a hand as can be without Deeproot Pilgrimage, so I'm just gonna trust it. We're gonna lead off with an island, and we're gonna see what happens. I'm really hoping this Floodpits Drowner can get us good value. That's gonna be important, I think. All right, all right. So, yeah, we're going up against Izzet. This is really rough, if I may say. Now, I'm really hoping they biff this and cast the Monstrous Rage. Okay. Cast Monstrous Rage before attacking. Yeah, they don't. And they shouldn't, and they know they shouldn't. So here we are. Yeah, so Swifty, get pinned down, please. I would really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Gonna go ahead and drop this. Name Folk. And I think I need to try to just turn this upfield. Get them on the back foot. That's my thought. If Floodpits Drowner can trade with two of those Leprawas guys, honestly, that's worth it. It doesn't feel like it, but each one of those otters represents like 3 to 5 damage throughout the course of this game easily. Easily. So I'm okay with that trade, believe it or not. And the fact that the Swift Spear is still tapped means that it's also not dealing damage this turn. This Floodpits Drowner actually gave us, like, a friggin' gift, dude. That was amazing. And we have the Lifecraft Engine down. Them doing the stock up here is fine by me, frankly. All right. We got this. And so, on their turn, we have Brineborn Cutthroat into Floodpits Drowner and the ability to crew the Lifecraft Engine. That's sweet. I love that. Corey, sure, of course. So what's next? Opt. Now, we could Tidebind the Cutter here, but I think I'm going to be mana efficient and go Brineborn Cutthroat Floodpits Drowner instead. I'm going to give them an opportunity to cast one more thing before combat if they do. At the start of combat, I'm going to drop my stuff. I really want the counter on the Brineborn Cutthroat, so I will lead with it. All right. Floodpits Drowner coming on in. And it's going to tap down Swifty over here. Once more. Drowner doing work. Now, are they willing to attack? Okay. Tells me they either do not have... Yeah, they either don't have the Monstrous Rage or they're not willing to use it. Now, they have found 3 Storm Chaser's Talents and the Corey Steel Cutter. That is the dream for that deck. Like, the dream. So... we'll see. Oh, cool. Yeah. So I can do this. Drop this down. Name Folk. Once more. This is now 5/5, which is cool. Do I use... No, I want to keep that ability to shuffle that Swift Spear away. If they go for a double block, I'm going to just pick it off. They don't. Okay, tight. Blam, blam. If I'm going to do it, now's the chance. But honestly, having the blocker back to be able to crew the Lifecraft Engine here. Like, we have a 5/5 in reserve. I think that's what I need right now. Yeah. So their Quarry Steel Cutter going unbound is slightly problematic, potentially. We'll see. It is only one, though. Oh, my goodness. This is a tight match. But that's another one of the details about this deck that I absolutely adore. Like, I cannot express how much I appreciate it. Is that every attack and every block matter. Like, this feels like just classic Magic the Gathering, you know? I love it, personally. All right, they probably have some kind of combat trick. They have 3 cards in hand, 3 lands. I'm sure they've got more. It's just a question of what. So this Lifecraft Engine is now up. Please bounce this. That'd be so good. You're not gonna? Okay, fair. Gonna go ahead and block the Otter. If they have a Monster Trade or something, I'm just gonna kind of force the issue. Decent chance they do. Burst Lightning. Okay, that's mildly problematic. This is now a trade, and I'm taking 4 damage. And now my team is also gonna be smaller, which that's a bummer. For sure. And is just painfully relevant, unfortunately. Alright. Ooh. Alright, that's nice. I like that. Cool. We also have this guy, which would come in as a 4/4. I think I want to do this and keep that up, I think is where I want to be. So, I'm going to keep it simple. Just send it. Nothing fancy, nothing swanky. Just... You gonna block there? Tight. Okay, I'm gonna throw this. So this is now gonna become a 4/3 unless you have an answer. And so now I'm gonna encourage you to use combat tricks defensively. Which, if Izzet starts using combat tricks defensively, I'm having a good time. Alright, you're gonna Flood Maw my Brineborn Cutthroat. I don't love it, but that is fair. The other question, do I Tidebind the Prowess Monk to keep my Floodpits Drowner alive? I think I do. Yeah, this is the relevant one, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that. So it stays a 2/2. My Cutthroat's now in hand. That bites it. And I keep my Drowner, Lifecraft Engine is still live, and we have the Sanctuary live. All of a sudden, they're using their resources, and I'm putting up a pretty good fight. Yeah, this feels good. You know, that's a Tidebinder that didn't hit the Quarry Steel Cutter. But I think that was worth it in the end. Sleight of hand, sure. Sometimes prowess got a prowess. I get it. You're not wrong. We're also at 15 here. They have burnt through so much. 2 stock ups, sleight of hand, 3 ops. They have the Quarry Steel. They have 3 Storm Chasers, and we're still in this. Not gonna lie, I'm having a good time. And they do not attack. They straight up can't afford to right now. That feels good. So... I think I throw this one that they know about, because with all the boosts, it can crew the Lifecraft Engine. Nine, 11. So a full send here. I'm gonna go ahead and keep. I'm gonna keep the Hexcatcher back. I'll send everything else, because there is one, like, very easy, clean block. If I send the Hexcatcher in, I don't want to give that to him. So, let's make it hurt a little bit. All right, so they have the prowess. So, Drowner is for sure dead. Like, actually, it doesn't have to be. Or, no, the prowess is going to happen no matter what. So yeah, I can counter the card draw, but that's not the relevant effect here. All right. It's honestly kind of tempting, but losing, I would sacrifice this for 3 in order to do that, and I would still lose the Drowner. That's not where I want to be. All right. So they can't kill my Hexcatcher, you know, because it's not attacking. They could make that trade, which, fair. That's 10 damage? Do they want to take 10 damage? Like, do they think they can get me on the crackback? No. Okay. So they are going to put a blocker in front of the Tidebinder. Do you double block in front of the Tidebinder? Sacrifice your entire board to take out another one of my dudes? Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I lose the Drowner. Lose my one Vigilant threat, which is notable. But they're now down to a Swift Spear. They don't know I have this Cutthroat in hand. Because they bounced 1 earlier, but I have played 1 since then. So we have this on their turn, not to mention the Sanctuary, still, that we do have the mana to activate. And we have the vehicle back here as well. So, Select Show Off, that is a fantastic way, a fantastic opener for what is hopefully the game-ending turn. You know, question of can they deliver 15 damage? That's a good way to start it. Monstrous Rage, thanks, I hate it. Honestly, I think I just let it happen. I could try to do the counter battle with the Hexcatcher, but I don't think it's going to get me there. Yeah, so they had to do that before combat in order to get this trigger. So, fair enough. Yeah, right now they have 10 damage live. 2 more mana, 2 more cards in hand. And 2 prowess. And Slickshot is like super prowess. Alright. Do they have it? Oh, this is tense. This is tense. And also, this is the best deck in the meta, having drawn fairly well. And we're putting up a fight. I gotta be honest, I'm pretty excited about that. All right, opponent. It's up to you. Do you send it? Do you play more conservatively? Totally your call. %, your call. What you thinking? Doing some quick maths, I see. They're sending it. 8, 9, 10. If they have another Monstrous Rage on this, it's another 3, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's exactly lethal. So, I'm going to go ahead and throw this down. Trixie. So, I could start sacking stuff, but I don't think that would be appropriate here. So, that's 11, 14. This is 14 damage so far. Honestly, if they have... Well... I will go ahead and block this. Chance, if they have another trick... I'm just dead. Yeah, so, yeah, that's just enough. Doggone it. I did need to sacrifice something to the, with the Hexcatcher. So they played it very, very well at the end. Hell of a game. Again... Best deck in the format, drawing fairly well, and we put up a damn good fight. I'll take it. All right, here we are. No one-drop Merfolk, which is a little bit of a bummer, but we have the Pilgrimage, and we can cheat in the Cutthroat or the Drowner, you know, on our opponent's end step on turn 2. You know, we could do worse than this. Yeah, all right. Let's do this thing. Yeah, I'm thinking I want to lead Cutthroat. That way on our turn, we can throw the Deeproot Pilgrimage and swing. That I hope that lines up. If I have to use the Floodpits Drowner because we're going up against somebody very aggressive, so be it. Red into a Heartfire Hero. Drowner, I'm going to need you, bud. All right. So we're going to do this. Pass it back to them. They're going to play a Manifold Mouse because they always have it. Did I mention they always have it? Good God, do they always have it. All right, sick. So that little dude's going to get Double Strike. So you like to be targeted by stuff, eh? Yeah, about that. Boop. Just hang tight right there. Just chill with me for a sec. All right, groovy. Actually, I'm going to say groovy. This is not groovy. There's a lack of grooviness happening right here, and I'm not stoked about it. So, what's next? Emberheart Challenger, perhaps? Emberheart Challenger, perhaps. Okay. You are technically allowed to do that. Sure. That's going to come on down. Uh-huh. Yeah, Monstrous Rage sure is here, all right. And it's in the use it or lose it position. But before attackers. I'm going to go ahead and pin down your Double Striker. I would say this is rude, except it's the mouse deck, so I have zero remorse for this. Yeah, so they're just going to get the permanent trample and a +1/+1 counter. Friggin' sure. Why not? And I can go ahead and send these in and be sad. That seems to be my opportunity here. So yeah, the mana screw is really real, and it's really hurting. Fortunately, I have this bounce off. So we're in the scenario where, like, I'm feeling completely neutered, if I'm honest. Like, there's so much I can't do here, and it's causing a tremendous frustration. But you're gonna burst lightning one of my dudes? Sure. I'm gonna pass through blockers. No blocks. Another round of priority, though. I'm just gonna have him pick that up real quick. All right. So I'm gonna undo all those counters, get the trample out of there. Hero's back. And brought a friend. Cavern of Souls. Thank you. About frickin' time. All right. So the Tidebinder is going to be able to shut off the Manifold Mouse. Now, they will get one target in, which is going to create the... Yeah, so they are going to be able to target something, which sucks. But they'll get the Valiant trigger. But fortunately, the Valiant trigger is not going on a Heartfire hero. And they found a Rockface Village. Did they play that a land for turn? I think they may have. All right. That drops. And there's a Scremesis. Huh. I'm going to establish one Pilgrimage. And have the Brineborn Cutthroat back. I cannot risk this Tidebinder. The Manifold Mouse needs to stay pinned down. It is critical that that Manifold Mouse not freaking move. Also, we're at 20 here. That's neat. I like that. You know what? Come on in, bud. Welcome to my face. Swifty. I got a Cutthroat. Untapped land? You're not an untapped land. You're nice, but you're not an untapped land. Actually, it's... At this moment, it's kind of awkward how this lines up. But... Because I would love to be able to hold the Tidebinder back specifically for Scremesis. And yes, I'm going to keep calling it the Scremesis, because I think that's a funny name for it. Although... We can throw this down. Name Merfolk, buff the squad. They can no longer kill this Tidebinder. So, knowing full well that I'd rather not block with it anyway, I can send it. I'm going to send that as well. Now, the Floodpits Drowner might die here. But if it does, it's going to kill the Manifold Mouse and take the Swift Spear out. That's worth the price of admission as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to go tag. Excellent. And now the Floodpits Drowner is going to be able to tap to boost the Lifecraft Engine. You want to send anybody here, Doug? Because it's not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. Which is cool by me. The other cool thing, oh, they are, but they will send everything. Also, it was very nice of them to play that land. Let me know they don't have anything. I appreciate that. The other thing that's cool about this is that you can actually crew a crewed vehicle. All right, so I'm not getting a life anyway, so I'll just go ahead and take. I'm just gonna get that thing out of here. Actually, no, I don't need to. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. So we're gonna lose. So 4 here. And they're going to lose a ton. And we absolutely have them on the crack back. That can only hit my face, so it will. And it is my turn. I'm going to go ahead and rock out another Pilgrimage, because I can. Play out the Merfolk. The Mindspring Merfolk, that is. I'm going to go ahead and... dab these two to make more dudes. This is a little bit of a flex at this point, but you know what? Hey, I'm here to flex. Doink. Good game, opponent. Merfolk in Standard. I think the time has come. The fish are here, and they're legit. So... thank you for checking this out. Thank you for making it to the end as well. I really do appreciate it. A fun fact, actually, normally in these videos, I will record more games than I necessarily present because instances of mana screw or just getting bodied by mono red like 5 times in a row doesn't necessarily create a good video experience. And so sometimes I kind of pick and choose what content ultimately makes the final cut. With this one, I literally played 4 games and just... they were all good games, and I felt confident that they showcased the deck very, very nicely. And so as a result, I've used all of them. Now, you'll notice the video that we just watched only had 3 games in it because the 4th one is actually a bonus game that is available over on Patreon. So I want to give a huge shout out to the patrons who have already had a chance to see that video as of by the time you're watching this. And if you would like to go check it out, you can for as little as free, believe it or not. Signing up even at the free tier does give you access to the bonus games for these deck techs. That said, though, if you do want to help support the channel, whether you're here to enjoy the deck techs, whether you like my Twitch stream, or whether you like to sell me this card shorts, even as little as $1 a month over on Patreon goes a very long way to help support the channel. So thank you for considering it. I really do appreciate that. And a huge thank you to the folks who are already over there supporting as well. Angry Jellyfish, Davey, Hal, Carl, Levi Gradden, Big Mamu, and Vance. You're freaking beautiful. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. All right. I'll catch you guys on the next one.